Good morning, Scott here, known as Cantaloupe to some online, and I'm bringing a video to you on a subject that's interesting to me. It might be of interest to you or someone you know, and I want to talk about terms of service. Perhaps you're familiar with the idea, the concept of terms of service where you partake of some service or website or app, and they have a link or they show you their terms of service where they expect you to agree to it, and if you don't, they tell you you're not allowed to use the service. That's what it boils down to in principle. But I want to talk about how this is actually a very deeply flawed model of consent for two main reasons, and possibly others. The two that I can see right off the surface is terms of service implies, first of all, that a symbolic set of terms can effectively and arbitrarily be interpreted by anybody. So I'll say that again. Terms of service as a concept assumes incorrectly that an arbitrary symbolic set of terms can be interpreted effectively by anybody. What that means is once you render them symbolic, that is, once you write them down, you create the language for them and present them on a page or whatever, they are subject to interpretation. So even if the original author, the individual who actually wrote them down, and mind you, a corporation is not an individual person, and that's a whole separate subject, but it's connected, how corporations do not deserve individual rights and identities. Even if that person is available to clarify and expand on the meaning, they're still subject to interpretation. This is the problem. So terms of service, the second problem is that they require consent to other things. Consider the examples of essential services, essential businesses, and things that people need to survive, which arguably are most services, or else they wouldn't exist. To have to agree to whatever the provider has stated arbitrarily, again, just to partake of essential services is a conflict of interest. It's a violation of consent, more importantly. When consent is violated by making it group consent, there's two ways you can make something group consent. You can require terms of service agreement, and you can make it unilateral and make it a monologue where people just have to agree to it, and there's no special cases, there's no dialogue, there's no negotiation or appeal. It's just expected that you will be denied or refused based on the whims of the provider. When that happens, you will find many times, and if you look at the terms of service, you will find this every time, that there are other obligations that are superfluous, that are not connected to the central service you're kind of trying to partake of. So this is the problem with group consent. You shouldn't have to do something just because you're a member of a group. Consider that in order to buy groceries, you have to produce perform sexually, for example. This is a kind of a far-fetched, far-flung example, but it's an illustrative example. It shows the point there that it's not fair or supportable for someone to have to perform sexually just to be able to go buy their own groceries. That would be an unsupportable terms of service. But if you look at all the terms of service, they have the same conflict. It's a conflict. Agreements must be between individuals, first of all, for them to be valid. They must be digestible. They must be to the point of a specific proposal, not a blanket, sprawling proposal that includes things that are not central to a single idea, or else you need two contracts. And I maintain that we, as a culture, as a civilization, went off the rails with giving identities to businesses. We have given voting rights to corporations after a fashion. We have started calling the government an individual. We have started calling affiliations, memberships, individuals who in the court of public opinion right now have the same rights as people, individual people. You can find yourself up against a corporation in a courtroom as an individual, but that's not fair, you see. That's not fair. If any single person in that corporation can compete with you, you see the problem here, the conflict of interest and the injustice ultimately, and this is being leveraged. So in conclusion, my point in this video is that terms of service are unsupportable for two reasons. They are subject, once made symbolic, they're subject to interpretation. The provider they just assume that they're always the ones who are going to interpret them, which opens the possibility for abuse. They can kick you out by just reinterpreting the terms of service, right? And that happens, it does. And the second reason is that it's a violation of consent because it represents a form of group consent. So, it's a lot to say about terms of service. It's the problem. The biggest problem of all is that people have normalized it. They have come to believe that these things are proper and supportable and fair, and they are not. Terms of service, in any case, represents a form of group consent and is therefore a violation of consent. Thank you. Reach out with questions or comments to whitehotrobot@gmail.com.